what's going on. It's like personal empowerment leads to more independent, thought patterns. For instance, it's like, when it came to, making pottery. First off is what I did. It was by accident. I stumbled across the clay. Then I experimented with it a little bit, what I had. Very rudimentary, amateur type of a way. And then I started to watch videos about it. Like, these are real, there's experts who will give you demonstrations all over YouTube. And not only that, now did I bought books. Not only did I buy myself a couple, I bought another person one as a gift too, to be the change that I want to see and share the wealth. You know what I'm saying? It's like, see, that's what dependence is all about. It only can be done through some kind of ignorance, where you have to keep a person ignorant. But if you give them the tools, whatever, they have the aptitude for it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, just like me, I took what I had, an abundance of just materials, and I had a bunch of time, and then also I had this curiosity, and I seen the potentialities there. But my mind was already cracked for that when I stumbled across this, but for just using this as an example though. But not only did I read the books, but I modified my techniques. I found more materials. I started mixing materials. I started using my previous failures and crushing it up and mix it in with the new batch of clay. I found multiple refinement techniques. And then also, on a similar note, you can study a correlated field, like by me looking for arrowheads in a creek bed. I come across a lot of dirt, a lot of sand, a lot of mud, and sometimes clay deposits. So it's like, there was some overlap there, and that's kind of how the empowerment exponentially works, where you start to get, it's like you don't need no one to hold your hand to know how to do something. It's like you at least know enough to look in the right direction that you can get there. And this ain't grandiose, I'm gonna do it all overnight, I'm gonna change overnight type of a thing. It don't work that way. It's got to be a long, methodical, and deliberate process. And there's going to be many failures. There's a lot of carrying heavy stuff around. Not a lot of pats on the back. You'll make something that's so awesome, people look at it and be like, not so impressed. But then, once in a while, you'll get someone to be like, whoa, this is awesome. Thanks, dude. Man, where'd you learn this? And you get a chance to pitch it at them and summarize it and pass along at least the initials to get them curious enough to research for themselves a little bit. Like my little cousin or my niece, I went and made this good refined clay, and then I kept stopping by and asking about it. I'm like, hey man, did she get her clay? Did she get her clay? She did get her clay, and then one week had come by, and I asked her about it. I even dropped one of my books to her too, so she could get a little visual aid. She's at the age where she can read. Just leave a little. It's kind of like cats, man. Like lynxes and bobcats and mountain lions. They're young. There'll be points where they'll catch a really weak prey animal, like a mouse or some kind of rodent or wounded bird, like bite the bird's wings off and keep it alive and bring it home. Then they'll drop it and they'll let the little cats kind of learn how to overcome it. And because it's like in adult life, your food tries to run away, so you gotta but there's that reason there in the first place. Why are they so curious and they don't kill it right away? That's part of the parental instinct in there. That's sometimes you don't want to really kill the thing right away, because you might need to, you could better use it if it's worn out and wounded and kind of in a catatonic half shock state. Then you bring it and drop it to the cubs, and they'll finish it off, and then learn how to, what do they call it, coup de grace. Anyway, it's the same thing with this kind of stuff, man. You can't, like, I remember me and my buddy went and set up a camp out in the woods, and we put in all this work, man. It was so tough. And this other guy comes in. He ain't trying to help gather no wood. He ain't trying to, like, get down with the program, but he wants to hang at our site. You know what I'm saying? And in the bask in the ease, when me and this dude had to sleep, like, we only had a half an hour to put it together, had to brave the cold and the dark and the freaking beasts of the field, and sleeping on an unlevel ground and this and that. Like, look, we had problems, but we made it. Yeah, but for instance, it's kind of like that, where it's like you kind of got to earn your keep first, or at least it's kind of like the belt system of martial arts. You know, it's kind of like, or the frickin' Boy Scouts or whatever. Never was in a professional organized branch of neither. More of a private tier type of you know what I'm saying? I dabble on my own time and in my own, to my own pace. And a lot of these things you don't necessarily need a chaperone or a freaking a mentor. These are higher levels, though, when you really want to become a more adept in whatever your thing is, where you got to listen to the others who already done it. And but then again, you see, the slow, deliberate, methodicalness of things is good, but you also have to leave the room for spontaneity. And sometimes that is where you got to put it on the back burner and you go do something else. But in the process of doing these other things and keeping it on the back burner, but keep it simmering, and keep stirring it once in a while, it's like all of a sudden you'll get a new ingredient, and that was what you were lacking in your other search, your quest. You know, because that's what these things are to me. They're quests and searches, and these are tricks that I use to keep myself motivated. It's kind of like, instead of letting other people dangle their carrot, I got to stick with the carrot on it, and I keep it in the directions where the information or the whatever the quest is calling me. You know, it's like, sometimes it's like you'll be looking for this quest, but you had it inside of you all along. You just forgot that you knew that, or it was like, duh, why didn't I see that sooner? So sometimes all these quests out here are just a way to get over your own firewall, because we have these kind of modalities. We have this kind of lack of neuroplasticity until you awarely know how neuroplasticity works. That all you got to do is switch up your mode sometimes, and it reboots it. It kind of like, it makes it compress all the data, all the neural pathways, and it kind of, you can get more coming through one spot, or it'll branch out a little bit. And that kind of, it has this effect of reintegrating all your processes in the process of itself. So it's kind of like it's a refinement process. And it's kind of, the nature of it is that you can't really force it. It's like you got to kind of just let it happen. It just happens naturally. And there'll be a point. I mean, you might already be past where you wanted to be, but you just haven't had the chance to prove it to yourself yet. So you kind of got to wait, see if you retained any of this stuff, or, you know, and chances to apply it in ad hoc new circumstances but get good results. Or what do they call that, man, where you get out of one sport and go into another one? Cross training. Anyway, it's like these things. They're just it all comes from with your intentionality and the day that you just don't entertain the thought. You're not just a dreamer, but and then you're also not a pipe dreamer neither, where you're just gonna like go wholeheartedly into something that you maybe should have waited. And this happens too. You know, you're just what is the word? You're eager, overly eager for something. So the first bone, like the master throws this bone, but it was an inferior bone, and that was only meant to take all the overly eagers and they'll go chasing that. And then he whips out this fucking brontosaurus, Fred Flintstone bone, and he's like, "Here you go, little dog, chew on that." And then I'll come check on you later and see how you're doing. Yeah. But it's like yeah, it's very it's awesome, all this nature stuff, but it's like seeing how you can do these things, just take raw materials and refine them and use them, make them utilizable in more efficient manners. It starts to make you not so like you ain't so worried about the stores and like, oh, what'll happen if this happens? Because you're like, we could whip something up, some low tech type of situation, and go from there. But it's not like you'll shizzle up a creek without a paddle. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you was shizzle up a creek, it's just like go to the side and I'm sure you can, out of debris, you could probably rig up something to get yourself going so you can find another paddle. Or like Musashi, you can even whittle a paddle and then use that instead of a sword to fight somebody in a duel. But same thing with these plants. It's empowering and it's enriching, and it gives you life and life more abundantly sometimes when you see that everything you need is already out there. It's just you can look for it and not find it, or sometimes you can just be and you just bump into it. But it's there. It's just you haven't figured out how to go about making it happen, because it's not always a thing of money. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these things, they're very low budget. And you can do an amateur thing real easy with minimal, repercussions, man. But you'll get maximum enrichment, though, because it gives you a little confidence in that you yourself can produce. You know you can produce. It's not just theoretical. It's not just we're just having vain, big ego talk. We're talking big like a politician. Oh, we're gonna change it all this year. But sadly, it's the same old, same old. But as long as you freaking stick to it, and just for the long haul, not the immediate gratification thing. Like it's definitely a worthwhile thing. That's what Kung Fu basically, generic description, time and energy. So it's about working, putting in like skilled practice into stuff. So instead of punching trees all the time, I chop firewood with my machete or my hatchet. I whittle wood. I go mess around in the plant, and stuff like that. And I get the same effect without all the forceful aggression type thing. It's like there, but it helps me deal with it a lot better and use it more constructively.